Welcome everyone. This is a live walkthrough with Mederic through the Biocoherence app, and Mederic is the inventor and founder of the app, and he will take us on a journey through the biocoherence universe. Yeah, Mederic.
Hi.
Thank you for doing this.
Okay, so just a few words about the app. I'm working with various energetic assessment apps since maybe 15 years on energetic devices. But first and foremost, I'm a programmer myself, and I'm also a sound engineer by training. So I really know how to manipulate signals for the sound. And my goal was to do something with a raw electrocardiogram with the same kind of tools that I'm used to use for signal processing in audio. It means when you record the ECG, so a pulse from the earth, usually most people only take the main beats and do a statistical analysis to see if the beats are, if there is some variation or something like that. It's called HRV, heart rate variability. But in fact, you have a lot more information in the pulse when you record it with a fuel wave device, because you record the whole electric activity of the body, not only the big booms from the heart, but the fuel electric activity of the body. And then you get a lot of more interesting information.
But how can you tell me via analyzing the EKG or the heartbeat how my liver is doing?
Because there is a lot of different researchers. I read hundreds or thousands of different research papers, ranging from the very academical, like very basic ECG analysis, to the very esoterical and everything in between. And I spent years to make bridges between all these researches and to find a way to extract this data and to map it on something that would be at the end meaningful for users, and especially for practitioners. The first goal was to make a meditation app that would be live adapted through biofeedback. So somehow find a way to measure what's inside your body and your mind, and create live meditations with frequencies and audio guidance and sounds and music and so on. So we started to make a meditation app with pre-recorded guidance and frequencies. And then I wanted to make a small extension that was a way to evaluate what's in your body to adapt these meditations. And the small extension took a few years to make because it was much bigger than I initially thought when I started digging into all these troves of studies and data on everything that you can find inside. So I tried to mix a lot of different things that are usually not connected. I came maybe 2 years ago with the first version of the app, which was only like a raw list of data that you can that is difficult to work with, but it was a first shot, let's say. And I could have stopped there and not show anything to anybody and just use it for the meditation generation. But having used a lot of energetic assessment software during the years, we also have a lot of practitioners that work with these kind of devices, and I know exactly what they want to see and what the frustrations are with this or this solutions and so on. So at that point, I wanted to create an assessment software that would be really useful for practitioners.
And can you maybe name one or two frustrations? Because for me, like the biofeedback game, it's a bit new. So I'm also like wondering for myself, like how can I even like use it? Because I think there are thousands of ways people can use it.
Yeah, there are a lot of ways to make an assessment, but I would say the main critic, because my ultimate goal is that every medical practitioner could use it. For that, you need validation, of course, because I'm a scientist, so I need to get some scientific validation and scientific ground on it. And I think one of the most damning problem with this kind of devices is that usually they are based on random number generators. And the idea is that you can influence with your mind random number generators and get some relevant data from that. But the problem is that if you do two analyses one after the other, it will not give at all the same results, which is maybe useful for alternative practitioners, but not usable by common medical practitioners.
So you're talking now about after I like give my heartbeat, my EKG to the app, and then it's when it's doing the computation of the biomarkers?
Yes.
Is it, and this is usually done with random number generators?
In other apps, yes. But in my app, it's 100% mathematical calculations, meaning that if you feed the same file to the app, you will get exactly the same results. But if you do several recordings, one after the other from you will get very consistent results. And you will be able to see an evolution, for example, at the beginning and the end of a session. And you will see what has moved during the session, but it will be very consistent between the two recordings. Because there is absolutely no random number generator inside. Because for me, it doesn't make sense to get a proper assessment that you can validate and that medical doctors can use at the end. It doesn't make sense to use random number generators.
But what's then inside? It's like it's something you wrote?
Yeah. Yeah. I spent a lot of headaches with mathematical functions. No, it's the basis of it is signal processing. It's pretty well-known signal processing functions that everybody use when you do, for instance, for example, musical sequencers. So there is a lot of this processing that is already in use in everyday devices that you know, in musical instruments and so on. It's just that it has been translated in the app to analyze the pulse. And then a lot of different researches, some which are official and some which are alternative, I gathered and I traced some enforcing paths between these different things to try and get the most coherent possible information in the app.
So you tried different paths in the beginning? You were like...
Yeah, some things worked and something didn't. Right now, I only implemented in this first version what seems to work properly, but I give a warning that some of the algorithms could still change before being named really a final algorithm, because I tried to find some norms. There are something like 1,400 different biomarkers in the app, which is a lot. And we try to format every one of these biomarkers the same. So it could lead to some norm problems. You know, when you say something is too agitated or too static, you want to have a range for each biomarker where it can go from 0 to 100, for instance. So this could be still maybe recalibrated at some point.
But with this, I'm always wondering, like, what baseline are we using? Because if we look to like the WHO, you know, like some government health agency, I think they're taking like a really bad sample because they're not taking like the most healthy people.
It's always the same problem when you want to have a norm. Who is your population? Of course. For me, it's it's really a technical problem. I mean, we are measuring mainly two things, which one is energy. So we need the lowest possible energy and the highest possible energy that you can measure with this biomarker. And the second one is entropy, which is agitation. And for that, also, you need to be able to say, okay, entropy 0 is easy because it's no agitation, but entropy 100 is the most possible agitation for this particular biomarker. But one thing I will probably do is that once we have hundreds and thousands or millions of recordings, we can then search into these recordings and find where are the norms for like 95% of recordings. So it will probably evolve a little bit.
But what's your view on entropy? Because I understand there can also be like in systems, like in a forest or whatever.
Excuse me, just one second.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes.
All good.
Entropy.
Yeah, what's your view on entropy? Because I understand it, and also systems like a forest or whatever, they can be in this kind of like dynamic equilibrium. So to be adaptable to, you know, suddenly something happens, the sun gets warmer or whatever. So they are not fully static. They can adapt to change.
Yeah. That's why we developed this biomarker in the form of a flower. Because we tried to simplify all these complicated things with only 9 different possibilities. I will show you. Okay, let's share the screen. You have to allow me screen sharing.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
All good. Can you see if it's working?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a flower. And this is every biomarkers that are possible. The idea is that on the left, you have the energy vertically. On the bottom, you have the entropy horizontally. And this states where the petal will be directed to. So here you see the cross between this average energy and high entropy. It gives us some things that we name learning. Sorry, I will do it in English. Let's go back. So this is learning, okay? Because let's go back from the beginning. This is based on my wife's work on systems theory. A lot of what we did in this app is based on systems theory, anyway. I won't dig too deeply into systems theory, but she wrote 2 books on it, which will be the basis of things that we need to explain for this app. And the books are almost finished in French and will be soon available in English.
Okay.
So she designed these petals to explain in just one word what is happening. So for instance, here, learning, it means normal energy and high agitation. This indicates a learning process usually in reaction to some external information. It means that you don't have a too low energy or too high energy. You have a normal energy, but there is a lot of agitation. so we say, okay, this is a normally functioning system, but very agitated because it's in a learning state, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, the idea was to have this flower, and you could, as a user, instantly recognize what state this particular biomarker is in now. So it could be static, low energy, strained, stabilizing, flexible, learning, resource, which is the most interesting, adaptating, or destabilizing. And for each of this one, you have a little phrase to explain what it is.
But it can also be that it's like the full flower, right? Like sometimes
it can be the full flower, which is both are in the middle. So both energy and agitation is average, which means that you can understand it as everything goes as it should. Because it's normal to have a little bit of agitation, and it's normal to have an average energy. If we take something with, for instance, meridians. Okay, so you have 20 meridians, and you can see which one are low energy, stabilizing, flexible. You see, static. So, for instance, in this particular recording, I don't have resources as meridians, but the most interesting for us is resources, which is high energy and low entropy, because it means that it's something that is very stable, like a pillar for you. And you can use this energy to distribute it to other systems. For instance, here, other meridians, but it could be other organs or energetic points or anyway. So this is available with links in every system that we map, which is...
Can you go back to the links maybe, or explain a bit?
Okay, so when you are into a system like meridians, so we have, for instance, organs, we have meridians, we have acupuncture points, we have emotions, momentum. All of these are families of markers that are related one to another. And we can calculate these relationships, and we can see the link, for instance, between here, I started in French, so it stayed in French. I should reboot the app. Okay. So between this meridian and these other meridians, we can say, okay, it receives energy from this one and it sends energy to this one.
So it's energy, it's not information, what they send to each other.
It's both. It's always both.
Okay.
It means that there are resonances between these meridians and this one.
Because I have a question, because I was doing it with a friend.
Yeah.
And we were looking then into his teeth, because he had a pain in his teeth.
Yeah.
And the painful tooth, I think he was receiving from 2 other teeth. Okay. But the 2 other teeth were missing.
Yes, but the energetic, okay, it doesn't, of course, it doesn't measure the teeth with a camera and etc. It measures things it extracts from the electric signal, which are links to the teeth.
But what do you think? No, for us, it was really actually a really interesting moment, because he was like, wow, like, how did this thing read from just me putting my thumbs on it, that my tooth that's hurting has a connection somehow to these other 2 teeth that are missing. So for us, it was actually like really mind-blowing experience. So there could be some energy that's, or like information that's...
Yes. And what it measures is that, for instance, this teeth, the teeth 16, is linked to all the other teeth, and with this little 4 threads means there are 4 resonant frequencies in common between this one and all this one. And this is the meaning of this thread. It's exactly that. It's like this tip that you are currently working on has something like a rope that distributes to other teeth. And it is linked to a lot of other elements in this analysis. And of course, the question now is, okay, we have this technical information, which is interesting, but now I want to do I want to know what to do with it as a practitioner or as a user.
Yes.
And that will be the second step. How to interpret all these elements. So we have a first way to interpret it is that a lot of these biomarkers are linked to emotions or to things, to the mind. So we also have a whole mind screens. And when you walk through organs, you can also draw parallels between the organs and what happens in your life. So we will soon add some screens that are named life missions, and that is also based on the work of my wife. And that can be used then. So with every organs we have frequencies. With most of the organs, we have specific frequencies that are picked from a lot of different lists, and we can use them in meditations, or just to apply as corrective frequencies, to reboost the specific organs that would need it also. And then for everything that is in the mind, we have guided meditations that would help rebalance what's needed. So this could be a way to use this assessment and then to rebalance through meditations. But if you are a practitioner and you use the app just to get an assessment, you can then use your own knowledge to rebalance what's needed.
But can you explain the emotions and the drives a bit more? Because I think it's interesting, but for me it was also hard to...
Yes, the drives is one of the most complicated. It's the last of the mind. Somewhere in my researches, I stumbled upon a link between I think it was meridians and emotions. But there was too much information, like 60 different emotions and something like that. So I started to try and make sense of all these emotions and collect them in folders somehow. And I came to this conclusion: it was me inside, me outside, and other ones. And the upper part is the positive emotions, and the lower part is destructive emotions. And I tried to map every emotion one against another one. For instance, if you see and last thing, into these 3 blocks, you have 3 steps, which is emotion, then feeling, and then action. And this is the way that you usually build what you are going to do in life. It starts with an emotion, it blossoms into a feeling, and then it becomes an action. Okay? And so here you will see the links between all of them, but also how it will evolve into each of these blocks.
So for instance, starts on the left.
Beg pardon?
It like the emotion starts on the left, and then it goes to feeling, and then
this is emotion. Then hopla, it doesn't want to move. Okay, then feeling, and then action. And this, see, all of this concerns my inner life. All of this concerns my outer life. And all of this concerns the other people around me. So how I react to everything that other people do.
And can you explain, because now I see we have many connections to the interior.
Yes.
So can you explain what's the idea?
At this step, I'm not sure I can already explain. I can calculate it. Maybe it's too much information also. One of the things I did is try not to put too much information, but I can tell you that, for instance, the first, this is for the other ones, and the first emotion is, you know what, I should relaunch it in English. This is grief, and this is, what is bienveillance? I will just relaunch it in English, okay?
Yeah.
Because when you change the language in the middle of the session, not everything is reset. So let me just stop the, yes, and relaunch.
But I was also wondering exactly about grief.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering, like, how can grief, first of all, be a biomarker, and then how it can also be a resource? So I was wondering also, like, is there a
Yes.
frequency of grief?
There is, it's not only a frequency, all biomarkers are not just frequencies, but it's usually a mix of several things. So I will, oh, I'm still in English. Okay, let me just, I'm still in French, I mean. Let me just record it and launch again. Okay. When you see a biomarker in biocoherence, it's usually not just one single frequency that could be extracted from the signal. It's a lot of different informations that are put together. And again, it comes from all these different studies that I collected, or different ways that different devices work. Okay, so now I'm in English, so I will share again.
But can you explain a bit the process maybe behind grief? Because for me there was like a few biomarkers that were just not clear. I mean, I think one other was neurotransmitters.
Yeah.
Because I thought it's like very, very general.
Okay, so we are back in English.
Yeah.
So this is benevolence and grief. So if you see this line here, the constructive emotion is benevolence, and the destructive emotion is grief. Okay, so this is always 2 by 2. So the second one, the constructive emotion is charisma, and the destructive emotion is timidity. You see there is a link between the two. Okay? Empathy is against lack of grief, and honesty is against lack of trust. Okay, and this is the same for all columns here. If you take the first one from me inside, elation is against depression, letting go is against health and anxiety, and so on. Pleasure is against self-sabotage. So I tried to make sense of all these different emotions to try and get a map. And this is the first step for this map because it's only a graph right now, but I hope I can make some more a better graphic sense of all of this to understand it more intuitively. This is still a bit rough, like a graph. And for your question, how can grief be a resource? Maybe you need grief right now to process what you are going through. I don't know.
Okay, I see. But it's still like now it would be, grief is like the green, the darker green. It's like the down.
Yeah, it's the one that is the biggest here.
Oh,
okay.
It's big actually. Okay.
Yeah, it's actually big. And it makes sense because it's a recording from someone I did just before we started.
So it can be a resource from being, because it has a lot of energy potential for you to move forward, maybe.
Yeah, you see, so this last block is others. So this is everything that relates between this person and other people. And for that, the two main resources are grief and honesty. And to know this person, it makes absolutely sense. This person might need grief to process what is currently happening inside, and is exactly in a process of honesty. So,
wow.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I think it's really nice that you also opened these different vectors for the emotion, because sometimes we have the right emotion, but we're not like bringing it in the right direction.
Yeah.
Maybe it's anger, but at ourselves, but should be towards someone else to become more constructive.
Maybe sometimes you need to have some anger outside of you, and maybe you don't just have to start hitting people, but just listen to loud hardcore music, you know, and you just have to find ways to process this anger, but this anger can be constructive for you, maybe at this point, at this particular moment.
Okay, now it makes much more sense. Thank you, the graphs.
So I think this will be a very interesting screen, but right now for this first version, it's still a bit rough.
But it's the same that you also used. You also paired up meridian organ pairs, I think.
I think it comes from meridians, from some studies in Chinese medicine.
No, okay, no, I meant for the visual representation. You also have this like upper and lower. Yeah, here. Yeah.
It's okay. When you open a biomarker, you mean it resaves and it sends to other systems? Is that what you mean?
No, you had it before, like
okay.
when we came here,
yes.
one before.
This one.
Yeah, here exactly.
Okay, so this is not negative and positive. This is yin and yang. So all of this, yin is on the right, yang is on the left, and here yin is on the top, and yang is on the bottom. But some meridians are going round. So.
And what do now, because now it has these like two smaller columns in the bigger ones.
Yes.
What do they mean?
I'm not sure I should let them in the final version. At first, this when I didn't have the body maps, at first, this graph was much more complicated and it had a lot of links. I still display the links, I think. No, I don't display it. Okay. You can sometimes see the links here. It's a good question. I think it's the left and right evaluation for this particular meridian. And the left and right evaluations come from the MTC points, which are here. So with that, we have an evaluation of all individual points into a meridian, and you can even click on it if you want and see the status of this particular point. So this comes straight from traditional Chinese medicine. Okay. What is new is that you have this evaluation of points, and that is specifically research that I collected from different studies and that I created. I think it's the first. I think no other device that I know can do something like that.
That you can see where the point is receiving from and where it's...
Yes, and also how to cook the traditional Chinese medicine recipes. So when you are in points, so if you go to body and you go to points, you can just browse the points by clicking on the specific meridians, but you can also, as in every page, see the most energetic, the most agitated, and the most coherent systems. And for the points, it's interesting because it gives you TCM receipts. It means it will evaluate all receipts that it has in database, and it will tell you which receipts are the most energetic or the least energetic, and it should, if everything goes right, it should give you some specific symptoms that are related to your current conditions.
But you also talked, I think, somewhere about that you like reverse engineered the recipes.
Yes.
What did you mean by that?
Usually you do an assessment in another way, and you say, okay, you have, for instance, headaches, migraines, tension. So I will use the point 20 from gallbladder and 21 from gallbladder and 60 from bladder to release you from your headaches. Okay, so that is what TCM practitioners does. What I did is that I reversed the logic and I said, okay, if in my evaluation, I see these 3 points that are that have resonance and that are specifically in low energy, it should mean that this recipe will help you. So it should mean that maybe you are concerned by headaches and migraines. So that's why they call reverse engineering. I do an evaluation of what points could be useful for you. And the reverse engineering things, it's to correlate these points with specific symptoms.
Okay. But is it also part, because you also mentioned that you could send frequency into someone and then see how the person reacts to each frequency that you send?
That is part of an upcoming release, let's say. There is a completely other section. So when you are on the main screen, you have 3 different sections. The one we are looking at right now is understand, which is you do a scan and you see all these kind of maps. But another one is tests, and tests is only live. It means when you launch a test, you have to grab the sensor and to hold it. So for instance, I can make a test and have a pre-evaluation that comes from the recording. But if I want to test if these aromas are good or bad for me, I can start an individual test. And for that, I will just connect it. If it wants to connect. It doesn't want, sorry. Of course, when you do a demo, everything goes wrong. Okay. And then it will make some stabilization, and then it will start the tests, okay, to see if orange is good for me. Apricot is good or bad for me. And so on and so on. Raspberry. So for that, it has some information into the list, and it will just present me the information and see how my body reacts to the information. Okay.
So it didn't, like, because I thought like this list already, it is like a test it did anyways from your like maybe first EKG.
Yes. Yeah, but it does exactly that. You see, there are 2 informations. One is according to my recording, orange is okay for me at 73%. So it means that according to my current recording, it should help. But then I can do this individual test and see if when I present to my organism the information of orange, how does my organism react? So it could be a confirmation that it's good for me, or it could be an indication that it's too strong for me, for instance. So this could be done with pictures or with videos or with just text, but it could also be done with frequencies. And in the next version, you will have something like 6,500 frequencies that will be ordered by categories. And you can choose a category of frequencies to test. And here, instead of aromas, for instance, you will have these frequencies, and it will just feed you the frequency, for instance, in audio, and see how your organism reacts to this frequency, and deduce something about your functioning.
Okay.
So this will come here. There are 2 new things that will come into tests. So the first one is that there might be more lists because it's a collaborative platform. I mean, I can start a list and I can edit this list. And I can add some items. And I can then decide to publish this list on the platform. And then you will be able to download it from your app. So if you have a particular knowledge in, I don't know what theme, and you want to create a list, and you find a way to create a list, you can then share this list with all Biocoherence users.
But this can only be like also a question.
Yeah, it can be a question. And if you want to have a pre-evaluation, you need to say to state what biomarkers it has action on. So for instance, here I started this list because it was easy to have Ayurvedic evaluation. For instance, peppermint has action on VPK, and you can just eat it here, and you say, okay, it will lower the pitta, lower the kapha.
That's what it does in generally.
Yeah. Generally, ginger and chili nutmeg sulfur will have an action of VPK, and you can say what action it has. But you could also say, okay, it has action of organs, and it will, for instance, it will calm the blood. Okay.
Okay.
Or it will add more information. It will, yes, let's say it will calm the blood. Okay. Or it will enhance your brain activity. Okay. So when I've done that, you see there are 2 new markers. And now if I open the list, it will evaluate if my blood needs calming and my brain needs enhancing. And if yes, it will just add some percentage to the relevancy of this particular entry in my analysis.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. So this is limitless, in fact, because you can do, I don't know, a list of yoga poses, and you say, okay, this yoga pose will help with your blood circulation. So you just state that it makes blood circulation plus. And this other yoga pose will help with sleeping. And so you will search the biomarker for sleeping, and you will say, okay, it will enhance sleeping. And then you can have an automatic evaluation of all yoga poses, for instance.
And so you can make like recipes of like sleep.
Yes, you can at this point you can do list for practically anything. And the second thing that it can allow then is that you as a practitioner that create this list, you can then write some conclusions or some meditations or some frequencies or some things that should be done if you are concerned by this or this entry, and then create a fuel therapy, and that can be sold on the platform. I mean, any user in the world that use the Biocoherence app could buy your list for one test, and you get payments for everybody that uses this list.
I mean, that's what many people are nowadays doing. They ask you like a quiz, like what kind of personality are you? And you give like different answers, and then it tells you like, you're this kind, like, and this is our recommendation for you.
Yes, it's exactly that, but it can be done. It's not you that will consciously answer, it's your body that will unconsciously answer.
And it's all what the hard answers, like the EKG.
Yeah. So right now I just made these 4 lists more as an example, but you can, when you open one of the system lists, you can just duplicate it and start modifying it as you wish and make your own list from this basis. And one thing that will also come, you see it's gray now, it's place on image. It means you can make a list that you can place on any map. So it's easier to understand. But with that, you can also do geobiology work. For instance, you place a map of your house, and you place a list of different elements, and you can just test this list and see how your body reacts. So how you react to the information of this particular element at this particular place. So that could also be very, very interesting.
Wow. Do you know anyone who did this already specifically?
No.
Okay.
No, because it's all of this is quite new. So
yeah,
the app is not yet public, as you maybe know.
Yeah. And how do I import data from, because I think it's also interesting that I can tell people like, send me your Apple Watch data. How does that
I don't know
work?
if people can send the Apple Watch data, because as you probably know, Apple is very keen on not sharing the data from so you import your own for sure. So when you I'm not on the screen, what I'm doing that up home. Okay. When you open a report here, you can import. And that will open directly the recordings that you have into your Apple Health app. So if you have an Apple Watch, every time you do a recording with the app, it will put the recording into Apple Health. And when you click here on import, it will just show you the list of recordings that are available, and you can import them directly. But right now you can only import from Apple Health, but probably in a future version you can import other types of recordings if you have raw ECG recordings.
But also from other people, like people can send me their Apple Health data, or I can only send from my own?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if people can share their recordings. I don't think there is a I don't think there is an option to send a recording. I don't think Apple has implemented that. Partage. Oh, maybe it's possible. I have to. If someone can share a recording with you, it should appear directly into import. Yeah.
Okay.
That's something we should try.
Yeah, because I think you mentioned not that we could also with the app do evaluation for people.
Yes. Okay. So you can use the okay, when you are a pro, you can just change who you are working on.
Yeah.
So you can create a new test user, for instance.
Oh,
Okay.
I didn't. That's important because I never understood. Is it like man or woman, or where do I put?
Yes. If it's for you, it's in your own data here, man or woman. Okay. But if it's for a customer, you choose the customer here, so you can edit him, man and woman, or you can just switch and change and choose another customer. And you can
Okay.
search. Yeah.
And they can then send me like, or
Yes. Each time you create someone, it creates an account online, and you can invite him. So this test user, you can just invite him. I cannot send an email because I didn't put the email into his account, but I could just click send email, or I could just share a link or share text, and this will just open a way to send him this text by SMS or by WhatsApp or anyway. Okay, so when he installs it, so this is a general invitation, but if I invite him on a specific recording, he also has access to this recording. So for instance, here, if I share access to this report, I can share it with this test user and send an invite. And again, he will have an invitation link.
And he has to install then the Biocoherence?
Yes, you would have to install the app to do the recording, but when you start with the app, you just have to log in. So it will send him his login details. He will just have to log in and then do a recording. And this recording will be directly available here under this user. It means when I switch the user, I will see different recordings. This one doesn't have. Okay, demo has ones probably. Yes, you see this changes the reports. So if it does a recording, it will, when you open the app and you choose this user, you will directly see it and be able to import it from the cloud.
Okay, that's really good.
Yeah. And one thing that will also come in the next version is that you will be able to do several recordings together. So either with several devices connected via Bluetooth to the same app, or to people at different points of the world using their app and sending live information through the cloud. And you will be able to see any biomarker that you want for every people and compare them in real time, which I think will be really, really fun.
And is it then also possible to find out if two people are good for each other or not?
Exactly.
Yes?
It's not only that people are good or bad, it's that people can be resource on one point and needing on something else, and maybe that's a better match. you know?
So this is like a crazy dating, like evolution to the dating market.
But you can also say, okay, you are a resource in this thing and this thing, and you on the other are resource on this thing and this thing. So maybe you should focus on splitting the course at home, this kind of things for you and this kind of things for you. That's very interesting also.
So this will come up as a new...
Yeah, this will come later this year, probably in an update.
This is really good.
And normally you should be able to see any of this and see compare them to everybody in real time.
Okay, wow.
And I also plan to do something like systemic constellations, families constellations.
Yes.
I plan to do something like that with every member that is currently connected to the live thing, like on a map. And on who is connected with who, and who is in which directions, and so on. So you could see that moving in real time. That would be
so when people do like constellation or group work, and you can do like live analysis, like what is happening. This is
the first need was I was working with a professional coach, sports coach. And I wanted to be able to do a live evaluation of everybody on the field, and to say, okay, maybe you should pay attention to this particular player because he's currently losing focus.
Wow.
So that is also something that I'm working on.
This is very high level.
Yeah. It has some particular challenges because it's difficult to measure fuel wave of people on the field while they are running. So maybe there will be some limitations, but in principle, it should be interesting.
Okay, wow. And what about I would like to then go back to your ideas and visions. but maybe if you can also go to the meditation and the balance part, and what's
Okay. So you're right. We saw understand, which is the scan. We saw test, which is right now the list of items, but soon you will have live tests of anything. So live test is just a test that goes round and round, and you can test anything and see if it's good or bad for you. So you can test, for instance, foods, or if sugar is good for you or not, or things like that. Okay.
But then you have to hold it, or you just ask, or you just put the...
Yeah, you can hold it. You can take it, or you can just think about it. Usually, when you think about something, it makes an effect. And the third one will be frequency tests. So the test section will have some more entries. And then, as you say, the last one is balance. And balance is all the conclusions that you can draw from this recording. So if you are not a professional, you will just do a recording and go straight to balance because all the rest is too much information for you. So you will see the computed priorities. And this is what needs attention. So it could be automatically computed, but you can also say, okay, I want to see into organs, and it will tell you the ones that are interesting because of energy or because of more movement. Or you can search into momentum. So what is low energy or synchronized and so. So this is a way to search what are the priorities of the recordings that you just did. Or you can just auto-identify, and it will give you the list of the most important things. So here I have some organs, meridians, one acupuncture point, two acupuncture receipts, one emotion, and two emotions. Okay. So this will be the basis we build the meditation on. So it means for each of these points, we will do something during the meditation. The other thing, and that is mainly the work of my wife, is resources. It means there are things into your organism that you can rely upon. For instance, for this particular scan, digestion is very strong. the trachea is a very strong organ. Grief is something actively useful right now. Okay, one atom, one meridian, one momentum, and so on. But if you, as a practitioner or you as a user, you say, okay, trachea, it doesn't really speak to me. Let's see what you have else. So you can just click on the organ. Of course, it doesn't work. I don't know why. Okay, you can theoretically click on the organ and choose another one. There is a bug. Okay. So again, these resources is important for the meditation because it will be the energy you will draw upon to correct all the priorities that you need to correct. And then you can do two things. You can just print a report if you want. So this is something that you can directly print or send by PDF or something like that.
Yeah, I send with email, like it's interesting for people, like they like to receive the.
Yeah, exactly. Report. So this is interesting. So you have a sort of you can add some texts, and soon you can also add or remove sections if you need. But you see, we tested orange, licorice, and apricot. This is the three that were good for me. So basically, the principle is that everything you do after a recording will appear on the report. Or you can just choose to print it or to send it by PDF. You know, if you print it, it will just propose you to print and so on, or just share it. On Zen balance, which is not quite ready, but will be soon. This is, of course, the most interesting part for general users. I mean, general users will use the app by doing a recording and going straight to balance and nothing else. This is the idea. So you can choose a style of meditation that you like. So if you're more into matter, you don't believe in the soul and you just believe that your organs needs to do something, you will just choose matter. Okay. So it will use as resource your trachea. Okay. This is the resource, the resource organ. If you're more into energy, it will use a chakra. If you're more into spirit, it will use a meridian. If you're more into an adventurous mood, it will use an emotion, and so on and so on. So this is linked to a series of meditations. And this series of meditations are pre-recorded cards that we can evaluate and choose one according to your main resource. And it will give the general mood of the meditation that you will do. And then the second part of this meditation, which is not yet ready, is that it will build a text and frequencies and sounds and music based on what we measured into your ECG. And it will address all these issues that are your priorities. And it will do this by guiding you. And I don't know if you are into meditation, but the goal of meditation is to take matters into your own hands somehow.
Yeah.
So it will help you not only identify what needs to be done, but guide you to help you rebalance yourself. And then
there's also a progression to it, right?
Yes, there is a progression. So each meditation will have a progression, but then the idea is that you will do a re-evaluation each time. On this re-evaluation, we measure again all these priorities and see how it evolves. And then you can have a nice diagram of each biomarker to see how it evolves. One meditation cycle should ideally be 3 weeks. It means 21 times you do a meditation on the evening, for instance. And then you have a nice graph of everything that has progressed and changed during the meditation. And the goal is that each time it will be different.
Do you have somewhere an example of how the progression looks like on the app, or it's not there?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. It will appear here. Okay. It will appear on the bottom, but it will be a graph like with all flowers, a graph of how it evolves during the days.
And then So again, if I'm working with someone else, I can make for them, like they get the invitation for the app. They
Yes.
send me a recording.
Yes, they get the meditation that you did. So you, as a professional, you will maybe alter the priorities, add some comments, choose correct resources, and so on. Choose a mood, and then you will just click OK, send him the meditation, and he will just have a notification on his phone to say, OK, your meditation is ready. You can do it when you want.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Okay, and it will invite your customer to do a recording before each meditation, and maybe one before, maybe one after. Okay, and that you will receive on your app, and you will see the progression. And maybe you can call him 1 week later to say, okay, you're doing great, but maybe you should focus on this and this, and maybe you could take this supplement to help you, or maybe I don't know, according to your own expertise.
Wow. And what is the time crystal about?
The time crystal is very interesting. Okay, so when you are stuck into something, you know, I don't know how you say in English. In French, you say on tourne en rond. You go just round and round around the same problems, you know?
To me, it sounded a bit like the moment of trauma, maybe, like, you know, where the flow stopped a bit.
It could be that the principle of a time crystal is that it's a static structure, physical structure in time that changes shape, but always in the same order, in the same intervals, you know? So this is a real physical object that has some instability somehow, but this instability is stable in time, which is interesting concept. And this is very systemic. It's a very systemic concept. The parallels that I draw here is that when you are stuck into something and going around with always the same problem, it's usually in a circular way of different moods or different emotions or different organs that are hit one after another and going around, you know? So the idea is to melt this time crystal. And to melt it, we need to unbound the links that we computed between these different elements. And to unbound them, we will use several tools, and one of these tools is to use healthy time frequencies. It means sending you information at specific moments in time, and this information will probably be only a notification on your phone. It means you are working and you are doing something, and suddenly you get a notification on your phone and it says, "Okay, just focus on your earth, just focus on your brain." For 5 seconds. So you see the notification, you say, okay, I'm doing the work and that's done. Okay. And maybe 18 hours and 30 seconds later, you get another notification to say, okay, focus on your knees for 5 seconds. Okay. And then this timely work is also integrated in your custom meditation. It means that when you do your custom meditation, you will get some information that will be sent to you. All this information is sent by multiples of healthy time, which means it will give you the most coherent energy to treat it on a time basis. It's a bit complicated and it's maybe not very clear because it's not yet something that I can show you. But in principle, it should help you unbound these time crystals.
But it would
get out of these recurrent problems.
Because as you describe it, I have whatever problem, but with my problem, always my liver does something. So
maybe every day at the same time, your liver is going bad, and then 2 hours later, you just think to the same thing that happened to you 10 years ago, and it comes by and back and so on. And this is because all of these things have resonances and instabilities into them, and a certain time to compute, and it comes just again and again. And we need to break this pattern somehow.
And you find somehow the perfect window of opportunity when to...
Yes. Wow. That's the goal.
Okay, wow. Yeah, and what else do you have planned? Or ideas, I don't know, visions.
Oh, I have hundreds of ideas, that's a problem. What can I say? There are some interesting points, but maybe, yes, life missions is very interesting. I speak briefly about life missions, but this is a full book by my wife. So we will integrate these life missions, but the idea is to help identify what is really important for you. And it's surprisingly difficult for people to say clearly what's really important for them. So I hope with that we will get some interesting hints. Well, yes, there are a lot of things. I want to build a full causal chain of the different links. Just one screen that I didn't show is progress. So you see, when you open the file, it recalculates everything.
But why does it recalculate?
Of I don't know, billions of parameters.
But why does it recalculate?
It depends. Maybe because this file was recorded with the previous version, in which case it recalculates, or because I try to keep the files as small as possible. So it means that in the files, I only keep the biomarkers for priorities and resources. And so when you open it just to make a meditation, you don't need to calculate everything. But when you open it for analysis, if you didn't keep the complete file, you need to recalculate everything. But it's quick, so it's no problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a meditation in several parts. So you see this interface. Here I am browsing like a video into the recording. But if I stop it, I have the whole recording or the different parts. Okay, so on the screen progress, I can see that, for instance, these different elements have a small evolution. And this could be, this is 5 minutes between this one, this is 4 minutes between these two ones. Okay, so this could be, for instance, the beginning and the end of a session. And so when you did this session and then you did something with your therapy and then you did another recording and you see how things goes. Okay, so it will allow you to compare what's needed. And you can always click on a biomarker, and these different parts are always accessible in every screen. So for instance, now I'm displaying the whole recording, but this is the beginning, the second part, the third, and the fourth. Okay. And you can also do it on every screen, like for this one. I can see how the meridians are evolving through the recording.
How do I add like a second meditation, like a second?
Or you just click record. So you can go there and click on the plus, for instance, to record, or you can just go back stop on the front page and click record here. Or you can also launch record from here if it's available, but if it's not, you just click on the battery, because the battery indicates how much battery you have in the device, but it also allows you to connect it directly. I will do this one, and I will just launch a recording. And so on. Yeah, you see. So this will create a new part. Okay, let's do it again. And by the way, you can also browse while it's recording. You can also browse the different elements and see in real time how it goes. So for instance, you can just focus on the technical thing here, but you can also see here how it evolves, and it will be recomputed regularly.
So that's real time. Like
that's real time. You see, each bit it's recalculated.
Wow. Wow. You also I had a question about this, like how is the connection to the Earth and also to the universe?
Yes, this screen you mean?
I think it's next to the yeah, exactly.
Things. Yes. This need a bit more explanation. These are the horizontal, lateral, and vertical planes.
Mm-hmm.
And this is connection to the sun, so to the universe, and connection to the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
These are specific biomarkers, but frankly, it's not completely finished because usually you should be able to click on it and get the biomarker, but not yet. So it has to be finished. And when you get the biomarker, you get more information about that.
Okay.
It's like on clock, there is a bug, I think, because you should be able to do it, but it directs you to the meridian. So it should be fixed. Energy. Where's the clock? It's here. So there are still some little bugs like that, but frankly, the last month or two were dedicated to make a first complete version and help and manuals and so on. And then I will go back to adding some new functions.
Yeah.
And now I should have a fifth section. Something is happening. Okay, 5 and 6, yeah. I should be able to remove something because this has probably just one bit.
Okay. Yeah, I did it once actually by accident with 2 people. So first one was doing a recording and then they did a second recording for the same person. So you could see a bit the difference, from biomarker to biomarker.
Well, it's one way to do the future possibility of doing recordings simultaneously, because here you can compare colon by colon. If it's 2 different people, you can just compare them.
Exactly,
but,
yeah.
It will be nicer when it's really done for different people.
Yeah.
Okay, what can I show you more?
About maybe chakras, how it's.
Yeah. Let's go to chakras. So you can, when you click on a chakra, you can see their relevant information. So you have the chakra and you have 1 or 2 acupuncture points which are linked to the chakra. And regarding the chakra, you can also see which chakras it is connected to. You can see the navigation, the different parts here. You can see its rotation speed, main rotation speed. Just one tip, if you click on the main cycle, which is the main rotation, the master rotation of this biomarker, if you click on it, you get the second most important rotation.
What does it mean, rotation? Like
it means you can understand it as the main respiration of this particular element.
Okay.
And if it's a multiple of Lphi, it just displayed here because it's probably something interesting. It means if it's a multiple of Lphi, it means that it is on the implosion spiral from Dan Winter. So it means
so
that
it's golden mean.
Yeah, it's compatible with some way to pass energy at different levels. So it should be an interesting information.
And why is it sometimes there's like 2 chakras on, like 2 similar chakras, like front and back?
It's the front and rear points of the chakra. Rear exit point of the chakra.
I
And
see.
frontal exit point of the chakra. Chakras are like donuts. It's energy nexus. Okay. So this energy is creating magnetic fields, and these magnetic fields are like donuts. And what is not yet displayed here, but will be in the next version, is that chakras are usually grouped by 2, and they create a bigger donut by the cumulative resonances. But these chakras also have corresponding acupuncture points, which are the rear and front exit points. That comes from TCM literature.
And then some are bigger than others? Is that?
The size is a function of the energy. Okay. So this one has more energy, it's a resource. This one has probably less energy.
But can you also explain?
It has more energy. Okay, so it's not directly the energy, it's something else.
Can you explain the attention and intention of the?
Yes. Okay, so for every biomarker, you remember you have the energy and the entropy. But if you see it on the time analysis, this is the actual recording of the biomarker. This is not nice because there is probably a gap. So this is an artifact of the drawing. Anyway, this is at the beat level. So there is a lot of variation. This is a short-term average mean, medium-term average mean, and long-term mean. And all of this information is used to compute the biomarker quality. And this is a harmonic analysis of this biomarker. It means we are searching recurrent frequencies into these variations, not only in the energy, but also in other components of this analysis. And these are different. In fact, it comes from musical qualities. It means we have translated some musical qualities. It can be a very rich sound or a very thin sound. It can be a sound that evolves slowly or that is very sharp, you know. And so we translated these different qualities into this kind of attention, intention, and horizon. And this is explained here, by the way. Attention indicates the strength of management. It means, is it very chaotic or is it very pointy? Intention is dispersion or focus. Donc, is it very regulated or loosely regulated? And it could be even chaotic. On horizon means, is it something that moves short-term or long-term?
But that's also hard to measure from, that's also hard to get from one measurement, right? Like what's the potential long-term evolution of
Yes, when we speak long-term, we speak the duration of one normal measurement, so it's a few minutes.
Okay.
But so short-term is a few seconds. But this is also related to the usual cycles of what's happening, of living things. So we are back to HRV, for instance. And it's not yet calculated, as you can see. It will come. Okay, there we have it. So this is information that you can somehow see here if you know how to look for it. How to look at it, but it's complicated. It's also information that you can find in the raw frequencies if you know how to look at it, but it's also very complicated to see it with the naked eye. And this is a, let's say, easier version of the frequencies, which is a second order spectrum, which is called a cepstrum. And this is a mathematical operation that allows to extract the main musical features of a signal. So this is also the basis of many information that we have here. But if you don't want to see how technically it is computed, the idea is that we try and find something easy to understand And if you want to have some more information about the quality of this particular biomarker, you can find it here. But I agree with you. The next step is to have a lot of information into the manual that would be written by actual therapists using the device, the app, and saying what it means for them.
Okay.
Because I am more on the technical part of doing a lot of calculations and trying to make information as easy to read as possible. But the next step is to see how practitioners use it and what they do with it.
Okay, yeah. That's also why I was interested in doing this interview, to find out more, you know, like how to also what is possible.
Yes. I know it's useful, but each practitioner will have different ways of using certain information, because there is a lot of information in the app. So not everybody will use everything. So that will be the next step. It's what we do with the other devices that we distribute in France, is that we do a first step, which is really a technical training. And then we do every week and every year, we do trainings and master classes. And this is done by therapists that use the device every day. And that will give a lot of practical training on how they use this part or this part. So this will come later. But this is planned. And so.
Okay, that's good. I mean, what I saw for myself, you know, because there's so many different like numbers, and so I needed to find more like trust and confirmation that it makes sense what I see with the data compared to the person. So it's also like a process to yeah, get more feeling for the app.
Yes. But that's also what I'm looking for. It's also validation for people to say, okay, it's not only interesting, but it's really useful for me. That's the goal.
Yeah. It's good.
Okay, is there anything else you wanted to see?
No, I think that was a really good journey. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time too.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to the updates and also to the other people working with it.
Right now, I'm doing mostly technical updates before the first release. So if you are on the beta, you get updates once or twice a week.
Okay.
But soon I will start working again on new features.
Okay.